cave, and it looked like it was probably a half a mile wide, and I couldn't see the end of it. And it was just filled with horrible, hideous demons making all kinds of hideous. So one particular demon came up to me, and he was probably about 7 foot tall, and he had fingers that were like 8 or 10 inches long, and then he had fingernails probably 3 to 4 inches long, the fraction of an inch from my face, and it was very horrifying. And at that time, I looked up at Jesus, and he was at my right-hand side, and he had a hold of my right hand, and he squeezed it, and I looked up at him, because he's a little bit taller than I am, and he says, Mel, the rest of your life, you're going to go down corridors like this. But he says, always know I'll never leave you, I'll never forsake you, I'll be with you, and that you have power in my name. And from that time on, it just unprecedented. Yeah, in the late 70s, I was awakened in the middle of the night because I heard some footsteps in my house, and they started walking down the hallway, and they walked into the bedroom, and immediately that I jumped up and started swinging at them with my fist because to protect my household, and they just began to laugh. And then immediately, of course, it was pretty obvious that these were spirits, even though that it was in living color. And there, so we didn't know the people. And while I was preaching, so I just stopped preaching, and I says, I'm going to take care of a situation in your life right now. And I commanded that force to leave that was in that particular area on her body. And I watched that spirit. It dropped off, and it crawled out the back door, and then out the door and down the street to the left. Why is everybody so excited? And then when things calmed down, the lady spoke, and she says, I had a stroke 6 months ago, and I've not been able to talk for 6 months, and this portion of my body had been affected. There was a demon on the top of this lady's head, right there, and so I just walked over and I says, I see a problem that you have in your head. Can I pray for you? And she looked at me and kind of puzzled and shocked in a place of business and people all around and everything. What a wonderful place for an excruciating migraine headache for, I think she said 3 days, and she said many years. And but then it was right around 1990 that I woke up in the middle of the night, and I seen that same demon that was in that corridor, and he had his right index finger in my chest, wrapped around my heart. And it was just like what woke me up was because the fact that I had such horrible chest pains, worse than they'd ever been, and it was like I knew the demon and the problem's gone. And so I rebuked him. I told him, in Jesus' name, you have to leave. And then immediately he started pulling his finger out of my chest very slowly. And by the time he'd pulled his finger, as he was pulling his finger out of my chest, that the pain decreased. And when then it was totally out and he was standing there, he started just disappearing right in front of my eyes. I was preaching. I didn't know these people. It was the first time I'd ever been to this church in my life. There's 300 people, something like that there. And I looked back and I seen this man. I seen in his chest, and I seen the demons, and I could tell you where they were wrapped around his arteries and on his heart region. And I just told him, I says, you've got problems here, and I described it. And I didn't say it was a demon. I didn't want to scare him. Some people get scared by that. And so I just said, there's a problem here, and it's causing a major, and I told him where it was, intricately. And then I says, I'm going to get rid of it now in Jesus' name. And so I did. And then he got real excited. And he says, I felt that. And he says, I know it's gone because I feel so much better. And then he made the statement. He says, I think he said he's a heart surgeon. He says, I'm scheduled to have open heart surgery to do exactly what you said. He says, I want to know where you got your training. And I says, I just got my training from Jesus. He lets me look inside the spirit world and look inside of bodies and see if there's things wrong. And he says, I came to this service to prove that you was a fake. And he says, now I know that Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And that conference. And I had some very credible ministries that are even friends of Dr. Paul Young-E Cho that said, this is the greatest meeting he's ever been in his life. And it's only 45 minutes, a small meeting. And immediately, he says, this is the root of the problem. The one on the right is a spirit of adultery. The one on the left is a spirit of alcohol. Deal with the root of the problem, not the person. And I did. And ever since, that